To Gribaudoff's. Beyond all doubt, he's there. The city was already living its evening life. Trucks flew through the dust, chains clanking, and on their platforms men lay sprawled belly up on sacks. All windows were open. In each of these windows a light burned under an orange lampshade, and from every window, every door, every gateway, roof, and attic, basement and courtyard blared the hoarse roar of the Polonaise from the opera Yevgeny Onegin. Ivan Nikolaevich's apprehensions proved fully justified. Passers-by did pay attention to him and turned their heads. As a result, he took the decision to leave the main streets and make his way through back lanes, where people are not so importunate, where there were fewer chances of them picking on a barefoot man, pestering him with questions about his drawers, which stubbornly refused to look like trousers. This Ivan did, and, penetrating the mysterious network of lanes around the Arbat, he began making his way along the walls, casting fearful sidelong glances, turning around every moment, hiding in gateways from time to time, avoiding intersections with traffic lights and the grand entrances of embassy mansions. And all along his difficult way, he was for some reason inexpressibly tormented by the ubiquitous orchestra that accompanied the heavy basso singing about his love for Tatiana. Chapter 5. There were doings at Gribaudoff's. The old, two-storied, cream-colored house stood on the Ring Boulevard, in the depths of a seedy garden, separated from the sidewalk by a fancy cast-iron fence. The small terrace in front of the house was paved with asphalt, and in wintertime was dominated by a snow pile with a shovel stuck in it, but in summertime turned into the most magnificent section of the summer restaurant under a canvas tent. The house was called the House of Gribaudoff on the grounds that it was alleged to have once belonged to an aunt of the writer Alexander Sergeyevich Gribaudoff. Now, whether it did or did not belong to her, we do not exactly know. On recollection, it even seems that Gribaudoff never had any such house-owning aunt. Nevertheless, that was what the house was called. Moreover, one Moscow liar had it that there, on the second floor, in a round hall with columns, the famous writer had supposedly read passages from Woe from Wit to this very aunt while she reclined on a sofa. However, devil knows, maybe he did, it's of no importance. What is important is that at the present time this house was owned by that same Masalit which had been headed by the unfortunate Mikhail Alexandrovich Berlioz before his appearance at the Patriarch's Ponds. In the casual manner of Masalit members, no one called the house of Gribodov, everyone simply said. Gribodov's. I spent 2 hours yesterday knocking about Gribodov's. Well, and so? Got myself a month in Yalta. Bravo! Or, go to Berlioz, he receives today from 4 to 5 at Gribodov's and so on. Masalit had settled itself at Gribodov's in the best and coziest way imaginable. Anyone entering Gribodov's first of all became involuntarily acquainted with the announcements of various sports clubs, and with group as well as individual photographs of the members of Masalit, hanging, the photographs, on the walls of the staircase leading to the second floor. On the door to the very first room of this upper floor one could see a big sign. Fishing and vacation section, along with the picture of a carp caught on a line. On the door of room number 2 something not quite comprehensible was written. One-day creative trips. Apply to M.V. Spurioznaya. The next door bore a brief but now totally incomprehensible inscription. Paraligino. After which the chance visitor to Gribodov's would not know where to look from the motley inscriptions on the ants' walnut doors. Sign up for paper with Poklivkina, cashier. Personal accounts of sketchwriters. If one cut through the longest line, which already went downstairs and out to the doorman's lodge, one could see the sign housing question on a door which people were crashing every second. Beyond the housing question there opened out a luxurious poster on which a cliff was depicted and, riding on its crest, a horseman in a felt cloak with a rifle on his shoulder. A little lower, palm trees and a balcony, on the balcony, a seated young man with a forelock, gazing somewhere aloft with very lively eyes, holding a fountain pen in his hand. The inscription. Full-scale creative vacations from 2 weeks, story/novella, to 1 year, novel/trilogy. Yalta, Suksu, Borovo, Sikadri, Makhanjorai, Leningrad, Winter Palace. There was also a line at this door, but not an excessive one, some 150 people. Next, obedient to the whimsical curves, ascents and descents of the Grabodov house, came the Masalit Executive Board. Cashiers numbers 2, 3, 4, 5. Editorial Board. Chairman of Masalit. Billiard room, various auxiliary institutions and, finally, that same hall with the colonnade where the aunt had delighted in the comedy Other Genius Nephew. Any visitor finding himself in Grabodov's, unless of course he was a total dimwit, would realize at once what a good life those lucky fellows, the Masalit members, were having, and black envy would immediately start gnawing at him. And he would immediately address bitter reproaches to heaven for not having endowed him at birth with literary talent, lacking which there was naturally no dreaming of owning a Masalit membership card, brown, smelling of costly leather, with a wide gold border, a card known to all Moscow. Who will speak in defense of envy? This feeling belongs to the nasty category, but all the same one must put oneself in the visitor's position. For what he had seen on the upper floor was not all, and was far from all. The entire ground floor of the aunt's house was occupied by a restaurant, and what a restaurant! It was justly considered the best in Moscow. And not only because it took up 2 vast halls with arched ceilings, painted with violet, Assyrian-maned horses, not only because on each table there stood a lamp shaded with a shawl, not only because it was not accessible to just anybody coming in off the street, but because in the quality of its fare Grabodov's beat any restaurant in Moscow up and down, and this fare was available at the most reasonable, by no means onerous, price. Hence there was nothing surprising, for instance, in the following conversation, which the author of these most truthful lines once heard near the cast-iron fence of Grabodov's. Where are you dining today, Umversi? What a question! Why, here, of course, my dear Foka. Archibald Archibaldovich whispered to me today that there will be percho naturel done to order. A virtuoso little treat. You sure know how to live, Umversi. Skinny, run-down Foka, with a carbuncle on his neck, replied with a sigh to the ruddy-lipped giant, golden-haired, plump-cheeked Umversi the poet.